minutes to let everyone into the meeting. We had several hundred people RSVP to this
Wow.
Affordable Housing Lottery information session. Also, just to let everybody know, the session is being recorded and that will be made available to all of you afterwards.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and the session is in 4 languages. If you click down the interpretation button, which Michelle will show soon, you have English, Chinese, Spanish, and Arabic.
Mhm.
If you are on your mobile phones, click on your screen, just tap on the screen and then more, and then you will see language options. We're going to repeat the announcements, but I imagine we are waiting for a few more people, so yeah.
Yeah. If you can, in the meantime, if you could just mute yourself, that would be great. Appreciate it.
I have a question.
We're going to do questions at the end, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna be doing we're gonna let everybody in first, okay? Then we're gonna be doing a presentation to give an overview of the project and also how to apply for affordable housing. And then we're gonna be doing questions in the chat first, and then at the end, we'll unmute people to be able to ask questions. So that's just broad overview of how things are gonna work this evening. And really appreciate that everybody's here. I know people are very anxious to apply for affordable housing.
Yes.
Okay,
So Michelle, I'm gonna remove unmuting rights, and then I'm gonna mute everyone, which includes you. But I need you to kindly, unmute yourself. I'm muting everyone as I speak. I also need the interpreters to unmute themselves. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen and get us started. Where did it go? 1 second. Sorry, just as always. Oops. There we go. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Michelle de la Hoz, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fifth Avenue Committee, and I'm joined by several members of the Fifth Avenue Committee Affordable Housing Development and Marketing team today. And I appreciate everybody coming to, this is our third information session about how to apply for affordable housing at our Sunset Park Library and Affordable Housing Project. I'm going to turn this over to Umit to go through some logistics about how to participate in the meeting.
Absolutely. Hi everyone. Yes, this event is being interpreted into 4 languages. To reach an interpretation, first you need Zoom app on your device or on your mobile phone. So if we can go to the next screen, please. Next slide, please. Okay. If you are on a computer, on your computer, next to record button, there should be interpretation. It's like a world planet icon. Click on that as you see on the screen, on the slide, and choose English, Chinese, Spanish, or Arabic. Thank you. Next slide, please. And I mean, instructions are simple. Click on interpretation, choose your language, and if you keep hearing the speaker in the background and that sounds a little confusing to you, when you click again, you will see mute original audio, which is an option that helps in some devices. Some devices don't have that confusion. Some devices have. So if it happens to you hearing both languages at the same time, go click on the language and then please mute original. Next slide, please. On your mobile phone, you need to tap on the screen, and then to the right bottom, you will see 3 dots or a more warning. And then when you click on it, you can select language options. Next slide, please. Yes, questions will be taken care of at the end. We have raise hand. We made it simpler for you. It's in the middle of the screen now. If you click on that, and you can ask to speak after the presentations. Next slide, please. Yeah, I mean, all microphones are muted, and we kindly need you to remain muted. Next slide, please.
Great.
Yeah, and Michelle, I am also, this is new with Zoom, I am also enabling live transcription. Now it comes free with Zoom, so enjoy, folks, if you want to read on.
Great, thanks so much, Umit. And I also want to thank all of our co-sponsors for our lottery information sessions, including our local elected officials and our local community board. And we really appreciate the outreach that everyone's done to help get the word out about this affordable housing opportunity. So the overview for tonight's presentation is we're going to give you a little bit of background about Fifth Avenue Committee and who we are. We're going to give specific information about the Sunset Park Library and Affordable Housing Project, which is still under construction. Then we're going to get into some details about what is affordable housing, what the particular affordability levels and rents are at the particular project, and then how to apply using the New York City Housing Connect 2.0 website. I know the #1 question is going to be, when can I apply? So we had hoped that the applications would be out this month in May. Unfortunately, the application is now anticipated to be out in late June, early July. So no one has missed an opportunity to apply for this affordable housing. It hasn't even started yet. We're really providing you all of this information so that when the application becomes available, that you've already set up profiles and that you're ready to apply when that happens. So I know that some people know about Fifth Avenue Committee, and for others might be new. So Fifth Avenue Committee's been around for 43 years. We're a nonprofit comprehensive community development corporation whose mission is to advance economic and social justice. One of the ways that we do that is by building and managing affordable housing and community facilities. We've built over 1,000 units of housing in more than 130 buildings. And the Sunset Park Library and Affordable Housing Project is just one of several buildings that Fifth Avenue Committee owns in Sunset Park. We also provide adult education and literacy programs, workforce development and training programs, access to benefits. And really all of this is to help combat displacement and really help folks have increased economic mobility. I'll do this brief one and then I'll turn it over to you, Vincent. So this particular building that's being constructed, you know, I think folks know that there's been an affordable housing crisis in New York City for many, many decades. We have over 60,000 people who are homeless right now in the city of New York. We have hundreds of thousands of people who are on wait lists to get into NYCHA in the city of New York. We have other hundreds of thousands of people who are paying more than 50% of their income towards rent. And in Sunset Park, in Community Board 7, while the population in the local community board has grown, there's actually been fewer units of housing. So basically we've had a net loss of units of housing in Community Board 7 at the same time that the population has grown. And in the local community board, rents have increased over 33% over the last few years, and there's been no new development of affordable housing for more than a decade in the community board. So this all really paints the picture of why we know there's so much demand for affordable housing in the community. I'm going to turn it over to Vincent, project manager in our housing development unit next.
Thanks, Michelle. So this will also be the first 100% affordable housing project in New York City to be built in conjunction with a new public library. The lower level, first and second floors will hold the new 20,000 square foot public library, while the residences will be on the second through 8th floors. The entrance for the residences will be along 51st Street, while the entrance to the library will be on or along 4th Avenue. There will be a total of 50 apartments consisting of studios, 11 studios, 13 one bedrooms, 13 2 bedrooms, and 12 3 bedrooms. Moving on to the next slide. The project will contain a number of amenities. There will be an outdoor roof deck on the second floor that will be accessible to all residents. There will be a bicycle storage, a laundry room, common area Wi-Fi and high-speed internet, an on-site superintendent, as well as an elevator. The building is close to public transit, as many of you folks may already know. It's a couple blocks from the R train stop. It's also near a few bus lines, including the B37, the B11, B63, and the B28. There's also plenty of local shopping, schools. There's the Lutheran Medical Center, and there's parks like Bush Terminal Park, and of course, Sunset Park. And then there's the library itself, which is accessible through an entrance on 4th Ave, as I mentioned before. Moving on to the next slide. And so here are some unit floor plans. As you can see here, the average size of a studio is 460 square feet. And the average size for the one bedroom apartments is a little over 600 square feet. And here are the unit floor plans for 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom apartments. The average 2 bedroom apartment is 900 square feet, and the average 3 bedroom apartment is almost 1,100 square feet. Now back to Michelle.
Thanks, Vincent. So I know a lot of folks might be familiar, with what it means for housing to be affordable, but it's something that I think it's helpful to kind of pause for a minute and take a step back to understand. So the affordability of housing is really, the concept is that people shouldn't be paying more than 1/3 of their income towards rent and utilities in order for it to be affordable to that family. And you can see on the left-hand side of someone's gross income, so income before taxes, if it's $20,000 a year, then monthly rent should be approximately $600. And obviously that changes as income goes up. Another important concept in terms of affordability is this concept of area median income. So area median income is determined by HUD, by Housing and Urban Development. And for the New York metro area in 2020, area median income for a family of 3 was $102,400. So median isn't average, it's literally in the middle, meaning that for all the families in the New York metro area, which is, all 5 boroughs of the city of New York, plus parts of Long Island and parts of Westchester, half the people in the area earn above $102,400 and half the people in the metro area earn below $102,400. And so it's literally like in the middle. And that AMI is what is used by government agencies. It's the reference point by government agencies to figure out levels of affordability for projects. So a 30% of AMI, so 30% of area median income, that's generally somebody that's a single person that's earning minimum wage, right? 60% of area median income are really, and you see that as approximately $61,000 a year. That's represented by someone who might be a taxi driver or a janitor. And then 80%, again, would be a two-income house and a firefighter. Now, again, that AMI concept is important when you're looking at affordable housing projects and what the income targets are for those particular projects. So you see, for instance, a studio apartment for a senior who may have, AMI or income, of $23,800, and that rent, that 30% of their income, that rent would be less than $400 a month. Meanwhile, that same studio apartment market rate would be over $1,900. And then you can see the same for a one-bedroom apartment for a family at 80% of area median income, where their sample rent at 30% of their income would be $1,570 for a family whose annual income was $72,800. And then you see the sample incomes and rents for families for two-bedroom apartments and for three-bedroom apartments. Again, all showing you what 30% of their income would be for that AMI level. For the particular project we're talking about here for the Sunset Park Library and Affordable Housing Project, the entire building, all 50 units, are 100% affordable. There are no market rate units in this building. And Fifth Avenue Committee, knowing what the income levels are in the local community board and where the biggest gaps are in housing, we really worked with our government partners to target the affordability levels to meet local needs. So you see that we have affordability levels between 30% of area median income and 80% of area median income. And then you see the number of units at each AMI level and what the rent levels are. And the reason why there's a range in the rent levels is because it varies by apartment sizes, right? Some are studios, some are one bedroom, some are two bedrooms, some are three bedrooms. I'm going to turn this over to Charmaine now, who heads up our marketing and lease up at FAC.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. And thank you all for coming to our fourth information session. And this particular session is going to be a little more exciting because we do have HPD in the house, and they will be providing clarity as well. Before we get started here, I'm going to bring in HPD real quickly to explain a couple of things on the HPD affordable housing part of things. So I believe, Alec, you are here somewhere. If you can jump in for a quick second.
Alex, yep.
Alec, yeah. I think you could unmute and present on HPD's behalf.
Let me find him.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Alec.
All right. Thanks, Charmaine and Michelle, for putting this together tonight. My name is Alex McQuilkin, and I'm an outreach coordinator in HPD's marketing unit. So we're the unit that oversees the lottery process. I'm joined by my colleague, Shaheem. Charmaine, did you find Shaheem to unmute
I
him?
saw him here, but I think we have to unmute him. I don't think he has a picture up. He might be on his phone. I'm not quite sure.
That's okay. We can see if you can just find him shortly and
Yeah,
take a
I found him, Shaheem Taylor. I muted Shaheem.
Okay,
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, Shaheen.
welcome, Shaheem.
So I don't know if you guys want to explain this this sample lottery advertisement slide, and then we'll kind of go into the
Go
next
through.
piece.
Sure, Alec.
Sure. If you don't mind, it might be yeah, so I'll just kind of walk down what you're looking at here. In the new Housing Connect, you'll see stuff looks a little bit different.
Michelle, oh, sorry, Michelle or Melissa, can you go to the new Housing Connect up slide?
Sure, but we're going to have to come.
Down a little bit more if possible. One more slide down. Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, we can go in the order that you have, and I can kind of just hop in wherever it's helpful.
Okay. Good. All right.
So when a project is ready and is accepting applications, you'll be able to see an advertisement, which is the screenshot that you showed a few slides back, that kind of gives a good overview of what is there at the building, what kind of amenities it has, what financing programs helps to develop it, as well as the most important part, which is that unit chart, which shows the breakdown for which size units, as well as the rents and the acceptable household sizes and incomes for each one. So if you don't mind just going back to that advertisement. Yeah, so this is just an example, but it gives you a general idea. So you can see in this example, we've got 5 different AMIs, 5 different income groups. So you just need to kind of find your household size among these lines here and go into each box and see whether your household size and your income together matches any of the acceptable ranges for what you're looking at. You'll see the deadline date on here, which will also be quite important. And just remember, it doesn't matter when you apply. The lottery process is random, the log order. We might talk about that a little bit later, but you do certainly need to make sure that you apply before the deadline.
One thing I just want to point out, you'll notice in this section here of the advertisement, there'll be information about the number, like the percentage of units that are set aside for individuals with mobility impairments or visual and hearing impairments. Similarly, there's preferences for community board residents, a 50% community board preference, excuse me, for community board 7, and then a preference for city employees or municipal employees. All that's really important. We'll come back to that in further detail as we go through here. As Alex was saying, you know, it's really important to look on the advertisement for your household size and then what your income is. And as you can see, the project, you see what household size qualifies for the different apartment sizes and what the income limits are for this particular project. I want to turn it back, I guess, over to Alex.
All right, so you'll see in a moment what the new Housing Connect looks like, but Housing Connect, as many of you have probably heard, is the central portal to find affordable housing in New York City. We rolled out the new version of the website last summer. It's quite easier to use than the original, and we hope that it makes the process more transparent. The accounts do not transfer from the original site to the new one. So even if you had an account in the old Housing Connect, everybody's going to have to register again in the new Housing Connect in order to take advantage of opportunities going forward. So you can do that at this URL here. If you just go to nyc.gov/Housing Connect, or if you type NYC Housing Connect into your browser, you should find the same site. But you'll need at least one email address and either a cell phone number or a second email address in order to register. And make sure it's your primary email address is something that you check often, because that's where all correspondence will happen.
Next slide, Michelle.
Oops, sorry.
Mhm.
Ay, Dios.
So this is just kind of going over some of the differences. Okay. So this is the home screen. This is what the new Housing Connect looks like. To register, you can click on register in the top right, and you'll also see there's a globe icon up there to translate the entire site, the entire application, into one of the 100+ languages that Google Translate offers.
Mhm.
So the new site, we are offering home ownership opportunities for the first time. That used to be limited to paper applications in the old site. It is optimized for use on a smartphone, which the old site was not. So it should be fairly easy to use on a tablet or a phone. Your application, as soon as you make any changes to it, say you get a new job or you get a new household member, that new information reflects automatically across all applications that you've submitted. So it's kind of a smart by the minute update. And you can also upload your important documents that the leasing agent will eventually need to see directly through the site. So it makes that process a little bit easier. You'll still have the opportunity, of course, to drop off those documents if you prefer, but you have that option in the new site. It also features some improved ADA features for people with vision disabilities. It's really quite intuitive. It kind of walks you through question by question to make sure that you have a complete profile that reflects your household situation. And it makes it easier to follow along in a project status, to see what your status is for all the opportunities that you submitted to. And all the communication, the back and forth between the applicant and the leasing agent happens directly in the site. And like I said, those documents can go directly back and forth in there. So like I said, to register, you'll need both a primary email and either a cell phone number or a second email. And I'll give a little disclaimer for those who are maybe thinking about registering this week or sometime soon. The site is having some issues with text messages, sending out those text messages to confirm your account. So right now, until further notice, we apologize, we're working on it, but you can only register using 2 email addresses. But basically, you know, when you're filling out the registration page, you'll create a username, you'll create a strong password, give us your email and your secondary contact, and then it'll be a 2-factor verification. So you'll click a link that will go to your primary email, and then once you've clicked that activation link, you'll get sent a 6-digit code to your secondary contact, which you'll then enter into the box that you see on the browser to complete the registration. So that keeps your information much more secure. And then before you can even think about applying to anything, you're going to need to make sure that you have a complete profile. So that means answering all the questions and adding all the household members that will be living with you. So that includes folks that don't currently live with you who you plan to move in with, as well as minors should be listed as household members. And then for each person that you add, you'll just need to give some personal information, birth date, stuff like that, income information for each household member that has income. And that can be, you know, beyond employment income, all kinds of income, Social Security, child support, unemployment insurance, and then asset information for all households that have assets. And at the very end of your profile, you'll see a section called Housing Choices. And this is where you can opt into a new program that we also introduced as part of the new website, where you can be considered for kind of one-off vacancies that occur in affordable housing developments throughout the city. And by filling out this section of your profile, you can tell us if you have a borough preference, a neighborhood preference, if you'd only like to be considered for a certain type of unit or a certain size unit. And then if you do that and you opt into that, anytime somebody moves out of an affordable unit somewhere in the city and the owner posts it on Housing Connect, you could be entered into a kind of randomized mini lottery is what we call it, to be considered for those. So do make sure that you answer those questions to keep, you know, your pool of opportunities that much bigger. All right, so when you are going to upload income information, this is just a list of what might be included. So really any kind of money that's coming into any household member that could be used on rent. So salary, self-employment, bonuses, overtime, and this is all gross. So this is before taxes. Although self-employed workers can deduct eligible business expenses. And then child support, regularly recurring gift income, Social Security disability, interest, unemployment benefits, public assistance, workers' comp. All of these should be reflected on the income section of your profile. And then once you've done that, you can click on either Open Lotteries at the top or Get Started here on the home screen to see the list of currently available lotteries to start submitting to. And this is what one will look like. So this basically is the same thing as the Sunset Park sample ad that we just saw, but this is how it will look in the new Housing Connect. So the dark gray section highlighted by B, that's where you'll see the unit chart with all the rents and all the acceptable household sizes and incomes. And then above that is the amenities, whether it has preferences and set aside categories. And then at the bottom, you will see the Apply Now button, as well as instructions on how to request a paper application if you choose to do so. So this screenshot kind of shows you what that open lottery page looks like before you click in to see that advertisement view. So in this sample, it says we have 20 rental lotteries up there at the top. But another exciting feature is that you can refine your search. So in this example, you see under filters, it says room for one person, and then you can see the clear filters. So if you click that refine search button on the right, you'll be able to filter these results to show just one borough, just one neighborhood, or you can check a few different neighborhoods, a few different household sizes, to kind of narrow down your search. Or if you click the clear filters underneath that, it'll restart it back to show you everything that we currently have. And then just above that, you'll see it says sales. You'll have to click that to toggle over to where we keep our homeownership opportunities. So this is just a little blow up of that unit chart. So you can see the AMI in the first column, the unit size in the second column, how many of each of those there are in the third column, what the rents are, and then for each of those types, the acceptable household sizes, and for each of those sizes, the income restrictions. So don't pay too much attention to the AMI. Really think about, does your total household income fall into the range over here on the right that corresponds with how many people are in your household? And then kind of scrolling down on that posting, you'll see a map of where the project is located, nearby schools, nearby subways.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Alex. So we know that the number one question that people have is, when is this application going to be available? We believe at this time that it'll be available in late June, early July. There's a couple more steps that have to be taken between today and when the application is actually going to be available. We want to encourage everyone to go in and set up their profiles in Housing Connect so that you will be notified when it becomes available. We will also be, Fifth Avenue Committee will also be sending out a notice to everyone who attended or registered for these lottery information sessions about when the application is live on the Housing Connect website as well. We really want to make sure that people who are interested in applying actually apply. Once the applications are available, either online or if you want to ask for an application to be mailed to you so you can fill it out on paper, you'll have 60 days from the time that the period is open to submit your application. And then, you know, there's often a lot of questions about, so what happens after I submit my application? There are literally thousands and thousands of people who apply for each affordable housing lottery session. It's not unusual for it to be over 40,000 people who apply for affordable housing lottery sessions. So it takes a while to organize that. And all of this is overseen by government, by HPD, to make sure that we're following all the appropriate rules in this process. So it can take several months for us to go through the log and then to contact people who are eligible. And we will, you know, part of the process for this lottery application process is that we'll have to verify if you're called in for an appointment, which can be a virtual appointment, it can be an in-person appointment. We will ask people to bring in documents or to provide documents, you know, that back up everything that was claimed in the application. The building itself is, as I mentioned earlier, it's still under construction and is anticipated to be complete in the next several months, with people beginning to move in this fall of 2021. I'm gonna stop sharing for now.
Michelle?
Yes.
Can we, I'm sitting here listening to the presentation. Thank you, Alex. Really, really informative information. It was helpful as well on the process. Would it be possible to get a raise of hands to see how many people have already created their Housing Connect account, just to get a sense of, if people are really creating new accounts, opening up. I see questions in the chat. You know, my information will not transfer over to the new account. So we need to get a sense of whether or not people have created their new Housing Connect 2.0.
Great. I see a number of people raising their hands. That's great. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with questions in the chat, and then we'll pivot over. After that, we will answer questions. If you've raised your hand, please unraise your hand again. Thank you. That way, when we get to the part in the program later where we're asking people to ask questions, if they want to ask questions, we're going to ask them to raise their hands. So why don't we start with questions in the chat? Melissa, do you mind telling us what some of the questions are in the chat?
Sure. So one that we got is, do we have to be citizens? I have my worker's permit since 2012. Would I qualify with that?
Actually, Alex, do you want to handle that question?
Sure. So immigration status is not taken into consideration for these apartments. You may run into trouble though when you are proving your eligibility with your income documents. So we require that all taxable income you can prove to have paid federal taxes on. So families that have mixed immigration statuses may be more likely to kind of pass that threshold than somebody who's applying by themselves without a social security number.
If people, I know some people might file their federal taxes using an ITIN, and that's acceptable.
An ITIN would be acceptable as well, yes.
Right. Great.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Alex. Melissa, what do we have next?
Sure. So what about having assets such as 401k plans, stocks, and so on? Will that hurt the percentage of what's being considered?
Yeah, so there is an asset limit in addition to these income limits. The way that we calculate that is by tying it to the 4-person income limit. So it's going to be different for each of those income ranges that we talked about. The way you can find out what the asset limit is for your household, regardless of how many people are in the household, is by looking at the 4-person income limit for that particular AMI. However, that does not include specifically designated retirement accounts or college savings accounts for children. So a 401k would not be subject to that cap.
Great.
Okay. And going on the flip side here, what happens if your income unexpectedly changes after you've moved into affordable housing? Will you get kicked out?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so, yeah. You will not be kicked out because your income changes. You still have to pay your rent. Let's be clear. But you know, that's why, although this isn't like public housing, this is affordable housing. You know, if someone, for instance, is in public housing and their income changes, then their rent gets adjusted. That is not how it works in affordable housing that does not have Section 8 subsidy. If you do have a Section 8 subsidy, then if your income changes, then your portion of the rent can change as well. But you will not, if you continue to pay your rent and meet all your lease obligations, you will not be kicked out because your income changes.
And I'll just add that you'll get a rent stabilized lease. So every year that you go to renew, your rent will likely go up a little bit, but it will be limited to the percentage approved that year by the Rent Guidelines Board.
Exactly.
And how is this, does the lottery impact you in any way if you're a college student?
Might need a little more information and understand that question. I'll just say that this is a low-income housing tax credit project, and people who are full-time students who are applying as an individual actually do not qualify for this particular project. But if someone is part of an overall household, that's different. you know, if you're a student but living with your parents, that kind of a thing, that's okay. They can apply.
Okay. What about, are participants receiving HASA or any other governmental assistance for rent programs eligible for this?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we accept, so going back to that income slide or any rental subsidy, like any source of income, any source of rental subsidy is accepted.
What about pets?
Pets are allowed, you know, within reason, you know, like domesticated pets, right? Not, you know, you can't have a tiger that you decide you want to, you know, have in your apartment or whatever.
Can I get someone to help me with setting up my profile?
Yes. Yeah. So in fact, we'll be sending out information about how people can, if they want to come in person, fully masked, socially distant, after screening, can come into our office to schedule an appointment and we'll help you set up a profile if you need that help.
And how does it work for city employees? I know we mentioned a priority.
Municipal employees, there's a 5% preference. So for 5% of the units, municipal employees, you know, they still have to income qualify and qualify based on household size. But how the preferences work is it really kind of gives you like a boost in the lottery, in the log. And so you could be called earlier for those apartments.
I was just gonna say there's also for the community board, for community board 7. So I was just dropping in chat about how to look up your community board as well.
Yeah, if you live in Sunset Park, you definitely live in Community Board 7. Community Board 7 is made up of Windsor Terrace and Sunset Park. Community Board 7, the easternmost point of Community Board 7 is 8th Avenue. And so if you need to look up your community board, the information is in the chat.
Mm-hmm. And are we using the last 2 or 3 year income based off this pandemic?
What are we using, Alex and Charmaine? How many years are we going back for eligibility?
Alex, I'll pass it on.
So when you're filling out your profile, you should do your best to kind of estimate what your current situation is and what it will be in the near future, because your eligibility will ultimately be determined on that date that Fifth Avenue Committee or whatever other developer calls you in and requests your documents. So if somebody got laid off during the pandemic and maybe they were collecting unemployment in 2020, and so that shows up on their 2020 tax return, but since maybe they got a job in December or January and now they're no longer collecting, they just have that one job, that would probably be the best indication of what your near future income will be. So forget the unemployment, forget 2020's taxes. You should try your best to make your Housing Connect income reflect your current situation.
We also have a question. If my income from last year qualifies under the AMI, but this year is greater and would I have a lower chance of getting accepted?
So last year's income qualified, this year's income doesn't. Okay.
I'm going to answer that. It basically, Alex answered the question in the previous. It has to do with current, and we go by current. What, like Alex said, you put in your most current information. We can't go by last year or the year before that or the month even before that. When you're filling out your application, whatever you put in currently, that is what you are that is what your eligibility is determined on or by.
Exactly.
And we have a few questions about those who are helping their parents and those who are helping seniors. So if they're assisting their parents or those maybe who don't have email addresses.
That's okay. You can assist someone to fill out the application. I think what's important is that the information that you're including in the application is for the household that is applying, right? It's okay that it like goes to your email instead of your mom's email or your grandmother's email or something like that's okay. But but if you're not going to live with them, don't include yourself in that application, right? Don't include yourself in the household size. Don't include your income. Only include the information for the household that's applying for the affordable housing.
And if someone's in public housing, does it make it harder to get affordable housing?
No,
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 No.
it's not a factor.
yeah, everyone gets the same. It's random selection. Everyone gets the same opportunity.
And if you're lucky enough to get into this affordable housing, someone will be lucky enough to get that public housing apartment after you, right? That's how it'll work.
Mhm. And people with an ITIN can apply for this housing opportunity.
Yes. There's a question about, did one of the emails have to be a municipal email? No, it doesn't have to be a municipal email. You'll demonstrate that you're a municipal employee in which way? Based on a pay stub?
Yeah, so you'll prove that at the point that you submit your documents, and it will be with pay stub from City of New York.
So Alec, sorry, Michelle, Alec, I think there is another step to that you are verified with the agency as well, that you are a municipal employee when we submit applications.
Yeah, HPD will do a quick kind of background check to make sure that you're in good employment standing.
Mhm.
We also have a question about,
Go ahead, Melissa.
a question about how do we input HACA budgeting information in Housing Connect?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if you have a voucher or a subsidy, don't try to include that as part of your income. You'll see a special question about, does this household have a voucher or a subsidy? And then if you click yes, you'll be given the opportunity to indicate which kind. So just make sure that when you're applying to something, the rent amount is covered by your voucher amount. And you may not need to income qualify, right? Because your subsidy will be paying the rent.
Right.
And we have a question too about just going back to family sizes. Somebody's asking if they misunderstood that only a family of max 4 is eligible. Are families of 5 eligible? It's
So it depends on the unit size. It's 1 to 2 people per bedroom plus 1 is the rule of thumb. So I think in the Sunset Park example we're talking about, we have 3 bedrooms. So anyone from 1 to 7 households from 1 to 7 people can apply to this, but each project is different. So you might see some that are just studios for 1 or 2 people, and you might see some larger apartments. So make sure you look.
okay. And can you still be qualified to apply if you're collecting unemployment?
Yes. Any source of income.
Okay. Is there a credit score?
There's no credit score. There's no minimum credit score.
Okay. And just a clarifying question that essentially full-time college students do not qualify for this?
No, they don't. Based on the fact that this is a project that's being partially funded through the low-income housing tax credit, there's that particular source of funding for affordable housing does not allow full-time college students to be the sole leaseholder in a property. Part of the reason why, and the question was why, they don't want the low-income housing tax credit financing mechanism to be used to build dorms, right? That's going to be financed through some other mechanism. So that's why that rule exists.
But that's just for this particular project and others that are financed by LIHTC. We have plenty of opportunities that single full-time college students can apply to on Housing Connect.
We're gonna continue on the chat questions for about 5 more minutes, and then we'll pivot over to going for hands that are raised. I see people that are raising their hands. I'll be right with you, okay? So it's just a couple more on the chat, and then we'll pivot over to unmuting people.
Yeah, I think we're almost through the chat. We have one question about who's the landlord going to be? Is that Fifth Avenue Committee, HPD?
Fifth Avenue Committee. The landlord is going to be an affiliate of the Fifth Avenue Committee, and Fifth Avenue Committee will manage the property.
Mm-hmm. And we have more questions about pets, which, yes.
Pets are allowed. Pets are allowed. People love their pets, and especially that very cute one over there in the car. I see the dog, cute dog. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much answered what we.
Okay.
Is the rent going to be adjusted annually?
Say that one more time. What was the question?
Is the rent going to be adjusted annually?
So as Alex said, these are going to be rent stabilized units, and you may be familiar that our rent stabilized units, the rent is increased based on a vote that happens on an annual basis by the Rent Guidelines Board. Over the last couple of years, that has varied from 0% increase to about a 2.5% increase, depending on a 1-year or 2-year lease. So it varies depending on what that board determines is appropriate. And you can choose whether you want a 1-year lease or a 2-year lease. That's tenant's choice.
I guess last question in chat, and then we can move over to those with their hands raised, is can you use a cosigner or guarantor if you have no income?
Now you have to have your own income, but there could be someone who's gifting you income on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We actually had this question during the last session. So if someone is gifting you income on a regular basis, one, it's important that you have proof of that and that it's an ongoing gift, right? It's not just something that started yesterday, that it's been going on for months. You know, maybe it's a deposit into your savings account or into your checking account, so it can be traced and is shown on a statement. That's how you're going to be able to prove that. So it's not a guarantor, it's not a cosigner, it's really someone who's gifting you income.
Mm-hmm. I guess one last one.
You want to add, Alex, to that, or Charmaine?
No, that's right.
Yeah, you're correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because just one last question I missed earlier.
I just want to point out, Zulia Roland, our Director of Asset and Property Management, who is a pet lover, said pets will allowed, but you have to have license and vaccination may apply, right? So just so you know. Freelance income, yeah. So freelance income, that absolutely is allowed. So self-employed. Keep in mind though, for the self-employed folks, that that it's your net that we're going to be looking at versus your gross, because you're paying your own taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and open it up for questions for folks that have raised their hands. I'm gonna start at the top. Min, you have your hand raised. I'm gonna ask you to unmute and to ask your question. Min, are you still there? Do you still have a question? No? Okay. We're gonna go on. We'll come back to you, Min, if you come back. Next we have Carolina. I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I have a question. Where can I apply in person? Where is the office located?
The office is located at 621 DeGraw Street, but we will send information out about how you can either drop in during scheduled time for assistance with the application or schedule an appointment. So we will send that information. We have everyone's email because you registered for this session. So we will send follow-up information with you about that. Right now, our office is only open by appointment because of COVID. And so we're gonna make sure that we make special arrangements to ensure that we can help people who want in-person help to set up a profile. What we will do is help you set up a profile in Housing Connect. I'm gonna move on to Shirley. I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Shirley, you still there? Is it Shirley? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna next go to Brendy Williams. No, Brendy, are you there? No, okay. Next, Lolita Carrion John. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Okay, hi, good evening. Yeah, I had been registered with the old New York City Housing Connect, and then I signed up for the new one. Now, when I did the authentication, I gave my cell phone number, but I don't have that same cell phone number. So, and I forgot my password. So when I go to log in, I put my email, and then it pops up the old telephone number, and then I'm stuck, and I cannot log back in again. So I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's tricky. You're gonna have to create a new account. And this time, make sure that you write your password down somewhere safe, because you'll be able to change your cell phone number in the future, but only once you're logged in.
Because what I tried to do was I tried to make a new account, and I used the original email, and I used, instead of the cell phone number, I used a new email, and it was like, you already have
Yeah, unfortunately, you're gonna have to use 2 new emails because the other one is taken.
Okay, and so for the apartments that I already registered for, if they contact me, they would contact me at my old email, right? Which I would be able to get into because I know my password to my email account.
Yes.
But I do have to make a new account with 2 emails, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's driving me crazy. Thank
I'm
you.
sure it's complicated, yeah. Next up is Ramon Rodriguez. I'm going to ask Ramon to unmute.
Okay.
Ramon.
Hi, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have 2 questions. One of them is that my salary is a little bit higher than the MPI that you describe. I am almost doubling that salary. Can it still apply?
No, I mean, this really is, this particular project, the AMI levels are the ones that we showed. There might be other affordable housing, though, that you qualify for. There's really a full range of affordability offered in a number of projects throughout the city. So I would recommend that you still create a profile on New York City Housing Connect and look to see what you are eligible for.
Okay, that's fair. The second question that I have is that I have a veteran that is a friend of mine that would like to apply, and he receives Social Security and can afford to pay an apartment. I just wanted to know if he can apply.
Yeah, I mean, Social Security income is absolutely eligible income, and he'll have to check to see, the income range. He likely will qualify. And so, yeah, feel free to share this link to the video so he can learn all about how to create a profile in Housing Connect.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks for being here. Natalie. I think it's like 2 names combined. So Natal Liz Suriel. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, I have the question.
Go right ahead.
how long you take care? How long you take care? How long you take the application? Hello.
Hi.
Hello. How long you take the application for the housing? How long?
So once the application is open, there'll be 60 days that people can apply.
Okay. So she on the list, no, for the housing.
¿Quieres hacer la pregunta en español en vez de en inglés?
Okay, está bien, sí que ya está aquí. Ok. Porque se va la frecuencia. So, ¿qué tiempo se coge la aplicación de housing? Vamos acá.
Después que uno aplica, I'll say in English that way it can be translated by the translator. Right. So the application itself online only takes a few minutes, right? So once you create your profile and you click the button, it's only a few minutes. Once the application is open until the application period closes is 60 days. It can take months for us to go through all of the applications and determine how whether or not somebody is eligible and to go through the screening process. It can take upwards of 2 to 6+ months to do that process.
Oh, okay. So, all right. That's good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meses de procedimiento.
Okay, thank you. Gloria, you've been waiting very patiently.
¿Usted me oye?
Gloria, can you repeat yourself? I'm sorry.
¿Me oyen?
Ahora sí.
Ok, yo tengo aplicaciones hechas en 7 locations, en 7 localidades, pero ninguna me llama. Yo quiero saber si esta que es de la Quinta Avenida, cuánto se tiene que demorar, cuánto uno tiene que esperar para que le digan el sí o el no, porque ya tengo con algunas, tengo 6, 7 años esperando por eso y son loterías, pero nunca me llaman.
Right. So that's a great question. And so let me go back to the first thing I said about affordable housing. So New York City has had an affordable housing crisis for more than 50 years. Right? For more than 50 years. There's less than a 5% vacancy rate in Brooklyn, right? So that means that there's strong demand for all units of housing. There's even greater demand for affordable housing units. For instance, Fifth Avenue Committee, Charmaine, we just finished the lottery for the project in Queens for 159 affordable senior units. How many people applied for those 159 units?
We had over 50,000 people.
That's right. So 159 units, over 50,000 people applied. Okay. So the demand far exceeds supply on the affordable housing. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. So it's possible that thousands of people are going to apply for this particular project and not be called because their lottery log numbers are so high that it doesn't make sense. We're going to focus on the folks that are the lower lottery numbers that have the preferences or who have the set-asides and things like that. That's generally how it works. But if you live in the Community Board 7, or if you meet the income guidelines, or you're a municipal employee, or you have a mobility impairment or an audio or visual impairment, well then, your chances increase. Your chances increase. And so that's why it's important to continue applying for affordable housing. Not just this project. I would really recommend you continue to apply. And I know it's discouraging to apply for so many and not hear back. But the city of New York is building and preserving a lot of affordable housing, tens of thousands of units every year. And so it's, keep applying. You're still muted, Gloria. You wanna
Okay.
¿Quieres decir otra cosa más? I'm gonna go on to Gendaris Tavera. Gendaris, do you have your question? Maybe. We'll come back to you. Carol Yanes, would you like to unmute and ask your question? Carol? No? Okay. I'm going to lower your hand. Maria, someone who's signed in as Maria, you have your hand raised. Would you like to ask a question? Maria?
Yo no puedo leer el mensaje, no puedo salir de ahí, que no sé. No puedo salir de ahí.
María, ¿tiene una pregunta?
Es una lotería, eso es malo.
Es una lotería. So the question Maria has is this
Es una mujer ahí que ha aplicado para 7 cosas, lotería, y nunca la tiene.
Alex, do you want to add any more detail to the response I gave earlier about the chances?
Pero ese cachón, mira que está caliente. ¿Pero por qué será que se abre tan temprano? ¿No se cerraron? No, yo tiene sueño, déjalo aquí. ¿En cuál escuela? Yo con calor, yo con calor.
So Alex, do you want to add anything just about like people applying for multiple lotteries and chances and things like that?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is in the new Housing Connect, you will be a little bit clearer about what happened to the applications that you submitted, because you'll be able to kind of track their status. And when you see something that changes to what we call the completed stage and you haven't heard anything yet, you'll know at that point that the log was depleted and your number wasn't reached. So, move on and keep applying to other stuff. But I would also say even if you have an account and even if you think everything's in order, it might help to meet with Fifth Avenue Committee or one of our other ambassadors, just to sit down and have a second pair of eyes to really go through everything that you've put down, make sure you're doing everything correctly, and make sure you're being diligent about returning to the site and applying as often as possible.
And Michelle, can I add to that as well? I would like to also advise everyone on the new Housing Connect, when you upload your document, to ensure that you hit the save button. Don't just upload it, make sure it's there, make sure it's saved, make sure all the information is uploaded, because this is a new feature and people may forget little things along the way. It's really, really important as well. When you update your Housing Connect information, when your household change, household composition changes, and you need to go in, make sure you update and save that information regularly as well.
Right. Okay, next on our list for questions, Amar, I'm going to ask you to unmute and ask your question.
Hey, ma'am, thank you for the information that you're giving right now. Currently, I just am putting all the informations on Housing Connect. They're asking for bank information and such, all those things. Do we still need to include the banking sector information? Or we can skip that and put as just income sections, like we provide the bank information too?
Charmaine or Alex, you guys want to answer that question? Must you include the bank information in addition to the income information at this time on Housing Connect?
Yeah, so it'll just be the name of the institution, Chase, and what kind of account it is, checking, savings, investment. You don't need to give us the dollar amounts, that will all come later. But every asset that the household has should be listed there. Otherwise, your profile will be considered incomplete and you won't be able to apply.
Okay, so whatever balance would be available in savings or checkings account, we have to include that too.
No, it doesn't ask you for any dollar amounts. It's just what kind of account and where is it located.
Okay.
Correct. Correct. It doesn't ask you for, like Alex said, your dollar amount, but you must fill in as much information as possible. You want your system to pull your information. So try not to leave anything out whatsoever. All the other personal stuff will be asked for at the interview process.
Absolutely.
Not in the system.
But also, I had a question about when we filling out the husband and wife information in the same profile, does it include separately?
Are you applying as one household?
Yes.
Then you need to put all of your information together in the same application.
Yes, I did that. But will my wife will have? Do I still need to include her income and the banking informations too?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Every member of the household, you must include all their income and their banking information.
All right. But if you are joint, like we put it on a joint file, we file jointly, and then they say income, gross income, line 1 and line 2. How do we justify that?
I want to, so you're saying you file your tax returns jointly, and so when you're in Housing Connect, they're asking you the information about the income?
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously you can refer to your W-2s, right? Or your 1099s that for each individual, and you can use that, total that up for each individual in the member of the household and include that in the Housing Connect.
Sure. Okay. Okay. That'll be all. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, Amar. Carol Yanes is very eager to ask a question. I'm going to unmute you, Carol.
Oh, hi. Good evening. Yes, I have a question. I'm a paraprofessional and I work for the city. I don't make much. Now, my husband, he works as a labor construction worker. He makes around, I'll say, 90K a year. I make 45. Now, combining, it will be like 120, 130 around there a year. Can we still apply? And is there like, let's say, since I work for the city, is there like a preference or, an advantage because I'm working for the city, I can apply also?
Sure, there's two questions there that you have. So one is, does your household income qualify you for this particular project? And then as a municipal employee, would you get a preference? So let's start with the second one first. So municipal employees, city employees do get a preference. There's a 5% preference. The household income, if you're accurate in the numbers that you gave, you are above, you earn more than what this particular project allows. It doesn't mean you wouldn't qualify for another affordable housing project. And I would highly recommend that you go to Housing Connect, create a profile, and see what other affordable housing projects you qualify for. I'm going to go next to Lydia Lantigua. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yes, could you hear me? Could you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, hi, good evening, and thank you for accepting my question. So my mom, she lived all her life practically in Brooklyn. She moved 10 years, 15 years ago to Philadelphia. She wants to basically apply. Could she apply or she wouldn't be able to do so?
So people outside of the city of New York can apply, but they're not going to get preference.
Okay, understood. Even if that's not basically that she's just renting a room, it's not like she has a home or she rents on her own, she's renting a room and she has proof. would that make a difference or would that still be?
I mean, the question is, where's her residence, right? Where's her residence? Yeah, go ahead, Charmaine.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when you're filling out your application, whether it be online or in paper, you have to put your current address. So everything in the application is current. Asset information, income information, living information, everything is current. So if she puts her current information in Philadelphia, even though she wants to move back to Brooklyn, most likely she will not be called.
Okay.
Because it gives preference to New York City residents.
Understood. Okay.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
Margaret, I'm going to unmute you. Do you have a question?
You actually could have question. I have 17 applications put in Housing Connect, and they tell me pending.
You want to know what happens to them?
Yeah, because all they say is pending when I look it up, and I look up every day.
Right.
Yeah, so pending is the default status that you'll see for every opportunity that you put in for. So it's good that you're checking frequently. As soon as your log number gets reached though for something, you'll get an email sent to your primary email. And if you appear to qualify, it'll say, we need you to come upload some documents. But you're doing the right thing. You just gotta apply to more. And you'll see that status change once you get the document request or once something else happens with your application, you will see it change.
Okay, thank you, Alex. We're going to next go to Clarissa Garcia. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Clarissa?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, how are you? So my partner, he doesn't have a social, so he can give the ITIN number, right?
Yep.
So, but the thing is that he recently started doing his taxes for 2020, right? And now he has a different job. So I'm not sure how he can provide the new income.
Okay, I mean, that could be a little bit complicated. My suggestion is that we, for that particular situation, we should probably have a follow-up conversation. There's probably more detail that needs to be provided in order to understand the circumstances. And it's probably better as a one-on-one conversation to make sure that all the household income is accurately represented on the application. Thanks. Next, we're going to go to Yashane. I'm going to ask Yashane to unmute.
Hi, good evening. My name is Yashane, and I have a couple of questions to ask you. I actually have. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yes, now I can. Yes.
Okay. All right. Good evening. I have a question to ask you. I'm actually on Section 8 right now, and I was just wondering, like, let's say for instance, I get in, I qualify, I get in the application, I get, put in. How do I go about it with Section 8 that I won't lose my chances of getting the apartment? I mean, let's say for instance, I do get my voucher, but then you said that it's gonna take like 2 to 6 months before I find out if I'm eligible or not. So I was just wondering, how do I go about that? Like, how do you guys handle that?
So if you apply and are selected through the lottery process and you have a Section 8 voucher, it can be transferred.
Yeah, I know the transfer, I can do that. I have no problem, but I'm just saying that, you know how with NYCHA, they have like a period, like 6 months looking for a place, and then that 6 months is up. I mean, I don't know what can happen afterwards, and maybe I could do an extension, but let's say the extension is up and I'm still waiting for the apartment to be ready. How do I go about that?
Yeah, no, we would work with it. Anyone who has a voucher that's about to be to expire, like it's we're familiar with working with people to help extend so that they can not lose that voucher. So that's something we have experience doing.
Okay, now, all right, so I have another question, right? Due to this pandemic, my son is right now not working. He's not going to school right now, you know, because I'm actually going through a little something right here. But I'm actually in the application and I put his information and everything, and it keeps saying that it's incomplete. Like I filled out everything correctly and I'm not getting nowhere. It keeps saying incomplete.
I think, go ahead, Charmaine.
Is this for the new Housing Connect 2.0? Obviously, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Alec, correct me if I'm wrong. Jump in if I'm wrong. I'm actually working currently on a project with Housing Connect 2.0, uploading information and filling out for paper application. And the reason it says incomplete is you're missing something. Some one of the sections you did not complete. Housing Connect.
I completed everything.
Go back in. I can guarantee you're missing something that you did not complete. Go back in. It could be a phone number. It could be a SS number that's missing. Once you see that incomplete, you missed something somewhere along the line. Check
That's
every
weird, 'cause
box.
I keep looking at it over and over and over again right now, and I'm like, I got everything correct.
Maybe you need fresh eyes. Maybe you need your son to jump in with fresh eyes, and he might see something you don't see. But yeah, once it's incomplete, because I'm on it right now. Well, not right now, but mostly every day. And if you don't put in, if you miss one number, it's gonna give you that incomplete error on something you're missing.
Yeah, Yasmin, I'll just say, you know, try what Charmaine is saying, and if you kind of out of luck after you've tried and you've tried to have a new set of eyes on it, I mean, you can always schedule an appointment with us and we can go through it with you.
Oh, please, I would really appreciate that if you can be able to schedule me an appointment so it could help me also, because I'm also hearing impaired also, so it's really hard for me to try to figure this out on my own.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as I said, we're going to be sending out information, an email to everyone who's attended these sessions. We'll be letting people know if they would like one-on-one assistance, how we can schedule and do that. But that'll be a separate email later. But thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it for your time.
Thanks for coming. We have about less than 10 more people and about 10 more minutes. So maybe we can do the lightning round of questions. Ying, I'm going to unmute you to ask your question. Ying, are you there for a question?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
It's got a question here. I do have a house in Brooklyn somewhere, but this house belongs to 4 owners. I'm one of them. My question is, am I eligible for applying the housing?
So you share in an asset, a home in Brooklyn.
Right.
What's the asset restriction for this particular project?
So if you own a portion of a home in New York City, you would not be eligible no matter what it's worth.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I'm going to ask Natasha Cordero to unmute herself and ask her question.
Hi, I wanted to find out, so the application most likely will be released in July of this year. And you fill it out and everything, and you wait to get, if you're selected, and provide the proper documents. When do you expect for the development to be filled with tenants? What is that time frame?
It'll start in the fall, and we hope to complete it by the end of the calendar year.
The fall of this year?
Fall of 2021, yes.
2021, so you're hoping to have it all occupied by the fall of this year. Okay, thank you.
Sure, thanks for coming. Next, I'm gonna Ana Azugaray. I'm gonna unmute you so you can ask your question. Ana?
Okay, hi, thank you. Mine sort of piggybacks what was just asked. I'm still a little confused. Oh, wait.
That's why we're here. We're hoping to.
Okay, about the way the lottery works. So I put in my application, my number becomes 500. Okay, now I have a preference because I'm a municipal employee. does my number then jump up to 450? And then because I'm confused on that process, how does the preference change my spot in the lottery numbering system?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I can try to answer that. So those set aside and preference categories get filled first, but you keep your log number. So we start with the mobility category. So we sort of filter the list of everybody on the log who has a mobility disability. So maybe the first person who has a disability is log number 16. Log numbers 1 through 15, we're gonna kind of put on hold and reach out to log number 16 first. And then the following disability, and then on. Then community board, then the municipal employee preference. So you always keep your log number, but all of those units are filled before Fifth Avenue Committee goes to the very top of the list again to start filling all the other general New York City units.
Okay,
Does that
so
make sense?
it did. So the preference goes mobility, CB7, municipality. Where do seniors come in?
There's no preference for seniors. This isn't a senior project. So we are building a senior project, affordable senior project in Sunset Park. That's going to be, the construction is going to be complete in 2022. So that's only people 62 and older are going to be eligible to apply for that project. So again, as Alex said, it'll be mobility, visual and hearing. Okay, so it's both mobility and visual and hearing first.
Okay.
Then community board, then municipal.
Okay. And then if you qualify for more than one category, it will boost you up. You will then jump into the pot as well.
You can have multiple preferences, if you will, yes.
Okay. But if you're CB7, one would qualify first.
You would be much more likely to hear something as a community board resident because the preference is much bigger than as a municipal employee.
Got it.
Right.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too. Thanks for coming. Next is Jacqueline, GQ. Would you like to ask a question?
Yes. One second. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, great. Okay, I was listening that it will be only for New York residents. Okay. I used to live in Brooklyn. My kids are attend to Brooklyn schools. Right now, I am living in Staten Island because the rent right here, it's more affordable than what I used to pay in Brooklyn. Once I submit my application, you say it will go through a process. So when I was filling it up, I see that it's like an average, let's say for the emails that I'm being getting, that it says, oh, right now it's an opportunity for a house for, I don't know, 2 people to 5 people, making annually, let's just say 48 to 82, right? I'm divorced, and right now I am really making really little. I am getting the average of maybe 35 annual. And when I fill the application, it will be only me and my 3 kids. So it's 4 people. And for what I have seen is like, it's a lot of people for the money that I make. So what are the chances, like maybe that I will get a place?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not, I'm not getting the amount of money that you guys require to have.
Well, so let me just say that annual income and that family size does qualify for this project, number one.
Oh,
okay, it does. I can't tell you what your chances are because I can't tell you how many other people are going to be in the similar circumstance and will also apply.
Okay, but living in Staten Island will not make a problem, right?
No, you can apply from Staten Island. You just will not receive a Community Board 7 preference because you don't live in Community Board 7.
So even if my kids attend to Brooklyn schools, they attend
It's
5 or
it's
3.
where you live. It's the preferences based
Oh.
on where you live, not where your kids go to school.
All right, perfect. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Sure.
Thank
Thanks for coming. Okay, we're gonna do quick. Jandaris Tavera, do you have a question? We're almost there. Like 3 more people after this. Jandaris, do you have a question? No. Going next to Katarina's iPhone. I'm unmuting you. Katarina, do you have a question for us?
Yes, my question is, I was filling out the application, and when I was filling out the application, I was pregnant with my son. However, now he's born, and I'm trying to change that and update it to that he was born, and it's not allowing me to. Is there any way that I can like change that when I fill out the how many people?
Yeah, you should be able to do edit household member details next to his name or his line on your profile, and then
Yes.
change relationship from unborn child to son. And then when you click next, it'll ask for the birth date and other stuff.
All right, awesome. So should I try to do that on a laptop instead of my phone? Because on my phone, it is not letting me.
You should be able to do it from a phone.
Alec, let me answer that, because I just found out this information today, actually, from Monica today. Laptops, when you're filling out the application, laptops or computers or desktop is the best place to fill it out. The phone can only do so much for the new Housing Connect.
Yeah.
2.0. It doesn't have the same features as a physical desktop or laptop. So you will not be able to edit or make certain changes on a phone as you would an actual computer, laptop, or desktop.
Okay, awesome. So
Some of the options are not there. Whether you have an iPhone or an Android, the options are just not there on the phones.
Yeah, because I was trying and it was saying it wasn't able. So I'm going to do it on the laptop. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katarina. Next, Lisbeth Ortiz, do you have a question?
Yes, hi. So I was asking before about my parents. They live in Borough Park, and I would like for them to apply for this, but unfortunately they don't have an ITIN number, and they're currently working on that. But how would I be able to process their application? Like what other paperwork would I have to provide?
Yeah, I mean, they can apply, but they'll have to show proof of paying taxes. And in order to do that, you'll have to have an ITIN number if they're not current, or a social security number. So it may be that they're not eligible yet to apply, meaning they may not meet the qualifications even if they applied, if they were selected. Does that make sense? Okay. Next, we're gonna have Maria, then Soto, and then we're done with the questions. Maria, would you like to... María, ¿tienes una pregunta?
No sé qué fue y pues yo lo conozco a él, se llama yo creo que mano de gela la de José, ¿cómo es ella o la mujer? ¿Qué mano de gela la de, tú sabes, la de?
We're gonna go to Soto. Soto, do you have a question?
I work for the city. My husband works for the state. And I also live in the District 7. Community Board District 7. What's the
percentage chance? What is it? Is it still 5%? You changed the
is it higher than 5% or is it just 5%?
Well, again, you're talking about multiple preferences. So it sounds like you have a community board preference, living in Community Board 7, and because you are a municipal employee, there's also a preference related to that. But you would be, as Alex said, the preference, the order in which the units are filled is mobility impairment, set aside, audio and visual impairment, set aside, and then Community Board 7 preference.
Okay, all righty. That's it, right?
Okay. Thank you.
So much.
Okay, I think, I know that Margaret has had her hand up, and I'm gonna unmute Margaret, and that's our last question. Margaret, you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask, if you take Social Security and work at the same time, do you have preference for that?
It's not a preference based on Social Security and working at the same time. Both sources of income are allowed, or are income that's allowed and accepted. You may get a preference based on your Social Security. If you're receiving Social Security based on a disability, then there might be a preference related to that. If there's a mobility disability or an audio or visual disability. So part of it depends. Some people who are receiving Social Security or they might call it Social Security, but it might be disability. So there might be more information that's needed to know. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. I mean, I just want to say thank you for everybody. I know we may not have answered absolutely all of your questions, but we will be making this information available to you. We'll make the PowerPoint presentation available to you, and information, recordings of this session. It'll be available in English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Arabic. I want to thank our translators. Really, really appreciate the three of them for keeping up with all of this information. I really want to thank also Alex for joining us for this session. Appreciate his joining as well. Thank Vincent and Charmaine. And good luck, everybody. And we look forward to seeing your applications when you actually apply. Thank you. Bye-bye.
To everyone, good night. Have a good evening.
Night, everybody.
Thank you all. Michelle, shall I close the session?
Sure. Thanks so much, Umit.
All right. Bye-bye.